dear members of our dissertation council, dear attendees, dear quorum of our meeting, our dissertation council, in specialties, physics, nuclear physics, technical physics, physics and astronomy, radio engineering, electronics and telecommunications, material science and technology.
Я не пойму, меня отключен или нет? А, нет, микрофон.
У меня же включен был. Кто-то отключил меня, что ли?
Нет, у вас все хорошо слышно.
Все слышно было, да? Не буду повторяться?
Вас слышно.
А продолжать буду, давай. At Al-Farabi, Kazakh National University, on March 1st, 2023, is available. So, dissertation council consists of 5 permanent members and 5 temporary members of board. So, minimal quorum for starting of our work is 8 people.
8.
So, yeah, 8 people. So 8 members, all of members of our dissertation council here. So let me to read list of participants. Abhishek Medeu, Chairman, Belisarova Farida, Scientific Secretary, Janabayev Zinula, Vice Chairman, Chumagulova Karlagash Nurmanovna, Bulagenova Saltanat Alikhanovna, Bozdusun Ismail, Rubtsova Olga, Yarevsky Evgeny, Turakulov Sabir, Azhibekov Aidos, Kabyshev Aset as a reviewer, Kuchuk Yasmin also as a reviewer. So 12 members who can vote. Also here, scientific consultants of dissertant and dissertants also here, so we can start our work. Who has any objections about beginning our session? If no, let's start. So our meetings now open. Everyone has an agenda in their hands by their mail. So let's start. Our work. So agenda of dissertations, defense of Valiolda D on the topic column breakout of exotic nuclei by quantum mechanical approach for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the specialty 6D 060500 nuclear physics. Dissertation work was carried out at the Department of Theoretical and Nuclear Physics of the Faculty of Physics and Technology at the Al-Farabi Kazakh National University. Scientific consultants Saule Zaugansheva, candidate of Physical and Mathematical Science, Associate Professor from Almaty. Melezhik Vladimir, Doctor of Physical and Mathematical Science, Professor, leading researcher of the Laboratory of Theoretical Physics, Joint Institute for Nuclear Research, Dubna, Russia. So, official reviews, Kabyshev Aset, PhD, acting Associate Professor of the International Department of Nuclear Physics, New Materials and Technologies, Gumilov Eurasian National University, Astana, specialty Nuclear Physics. And Yasemin Kuchuk, PhD Associate Professor of Department of Physics, Akdeniz University, Antalya, Turkey, PhD in Physics. Official reviewers are present. So dissertation work is submitted for defense for the first time. All members of dissertation council have materials on his work, on this work. Okay, do council members have any comments on the agenda? No comments, yeah? Okay. So by this way, the agenda was approved. To be accounted with the personal file for the dissertation, the floor will be given to scientific secretary of dissertation council, candidate of physical and mathematical science, Elisar Farida. Please.
Thanks. The members of the dissertation council, let me acquaint you with the materials received by the dissertation council from the applicant Valiolda. An application addressed to the chairman of the dissertation council on the acceptance of the thesis for defense dissertation in hardcover and on an electronic medium. Information about the doctoral student, applicant Valiolda D was born on July 26, 1988. Place of birth Almaty, Republic of Kazakhstan, Kazakh. She has a high education. In 2011, she received a bachelor degree of nuclear physics at Al-Farabi Kazno. In 2012, she received master's degree of Kazno and Dubna University by double diploma program. Reviews of domestic and foreign scientific consultants, certified consultants at the place of work, a personal sheet certified at the place of study by the personal service of Al-Farabi Kazno, a copy of bachelor's and master's diploma with annexes, a copy of the transcript in 3 languages, reports from domestic and foreign scientific consultants, certified at the place of work of consultants, and extraction from the protocol of the meeting of the department where the dissertation was performed with a positive conclusion and recommendation for defense approved by the member of the board, vice rector for social department of Al-Farabi Kazno, and the turnout sheet. Reviews of official reviews, certificate issued by the National Center of Science and Technology Evaluation for Anti-Plagiarism, reference from the Scientific Library of Al-Farabi Kazno on the delivery of the dissertation and annotation, extraction from the protocol of the meeting of the Academic Council of Al-Farabi Kazno on the approval of the topic of the dissertation and scientific consultants, extraction from the order of the rector of Al-Farabi Kazno on admission to the defense of the dissertation, a list of scientific works certified by the scientific secretary of the Faculty of Physics and Technology of Al-Farabi Kazno and their copies, based on the results of the dissertation work. 6 printed works were published. 4 of that were published in journals included in the database indexed by Scopus, scientometric databases, 2 in the journals included in the list recommended by the Committee for Quality Assurance in the sphere of education of the Ministry of Education of the Republic of Kazakhstan. Dissertation materials submitted by the applicant Valiolda D comply with the approved regulation of the Quality Assurance Committee in the field of education and science of the Ministry of Education of the Republic of Kazakhstan on the preparation of dissertation for defense. Defense is allowed.
Thank you. Have you got questions to the scientific secretary and the applicant based on presented objective data of the applicant? There are no questions, so flow provided to Valiolda D up to 20 minutes to present his dissertation work. Please, Valiolda D.
Okay, thank you for giving me a speech. Let me include my presentation. So, do you have my presentation?
It's okay.
Okay.
Start.
The topic of my dissertation work is a Coulomb breakup of exotic nuclei by quantum mechanical approach. My scientific advisors, Milezhik Vladimir Stepanovich, professor from Bogolubov Laboratory of Theoretical Physics, Dubna, and Zhalasheva Saulia Mambaevna from Kazakh National University. The relevance of the research topic, halonuclei are usually described within the few-body model. It's a core which contains most of the nucleons plus 1 or 2 valence nucleons. So the most widely used reaction for studying halonuclei is the Coulomb breakup reaction, and it can be considered as the transition of a nucleon from halonucleus to a continuum due to a varying Coulomb field between the nucleon and the target. So that's why the breakup cross-section provides useful information on the halo structure. And among the exotic nuclei, beryllium-11 is of particular importance. Here you see that it can be considered as a beryllium-10 core plus weakly bound neutron. And its simplicity of its structure allows more accurate theoretical studies. And the theoretical study of halonuclei within the framework of the non-stationary quantum mechanical approach is relevant for interpretation and the planning of low-energy experiments on the study of light nuclei in radioactive beams. So the aim of dissertation is investigation of low-lying resonances in the Coulomb breakup of beryllium-11 halonuclei on a heavy target from intermediate to low energies with a non-perturbative, time-dependent quantum mechanical approach. And to achieve these goals, it's necessary to solve the following objectives. First, to investigate the influence of low-lying resonance states to the Coulomb breakup of beryllium-11's nucleus on a heavy lead target within the time-dependent approach. Secondly, to study the contribution to breakup of nuclear interaction between projectile and target, and explore the excitation of beryllium-11 in collision with plutonium target. And at the end, to prove how good is a linear trajectory approach for projectile motion at low beam energies. Here you see the main statements for defense, and I will consider only every of them separately. So the first statement is an account of the low-lying resonance states of beryllium-11, describes experimental data on the breakup reaction, cross-sections at 69 MeV per nucleon with the accuracy of 1 to 2%, and explains the appearance of visible peaks at energies of 1.23, 2.78, and 3.3 MeV, which correspond to the positions of the 5½ plus, 3½ minus, and the 3½ plus resonances, respectively. Here you see the it's experimental data of breakup cross-sections of this reaction at 69 MeV per nucleon, which was carried out by a group of Nakamura and Fukuda. We assume that here, at these energies, at 1.23, 2.78, and the 3.3, we see visible peaks. And if you look at this the diagram, the level diagram of beryllium 11, you see that these energies correspond to the position of resonances. There are 5 half plus resonance, 3 half minus, and a 3 half plus. So we assume that if we take into consideration these resonances, then it will improve the description of the breakup reaction. And at the table, you see the theoretical value of these positions, which was taken from the work of Ershov and Zhukov, and also the experimental data. Experimental values were taken from the nuclear data center in NDC. And then, by solving of stationary Schrödinger equation, we find these positions of these energies of these resonances, and the equation has been solved by standard way. Here we have an internal interaction which consists of the Wood-Saxon potential and the spin orbit interaction. And one of the main one of the main tasks is to find the parameters of potential which will describe the position of these states. So here at table you see 2 sets of parameters. First set of parameters we have taken from this work of Kapil and Bayer, and this set describes well the 2 bound states and the 2 resonance states. The second set of parameters was found by ourselves, and it was found in order to find the position of the resonance 3 half minus. And here you see graphs of the effective potential. First graph is for orbital momentum 0. It's a ground state of beryllium 11. The second graph is for one bound state. It's the first excited state of beryllium and one resonance state. And the third graph is for the orbital momentum L2 for 2 resonance states. And in order to describe the breakup reaction, this breakup reaction of beryllium 11 on a lead target, we write a time-dependent Schrödinger equation. And here we have 2 Hamiltonian. First is, as was said, it's an internal Hamiltonian. And here small r is a coordinate of neutron. And big R, it's a time-dependent relative coordinate between the target and the projectile. So here the second Hamiltonian is a Coulomb potential. And when the beryllium 11 far away from the target, Coulomb potential is 0. And it took a maximum value when the system of core and neutron and the target are at a minimal distance. And after the collision, the Coulomb potential vanishes. By solving time-dependent Schrödinger equation, we have calculated the breakup cross-section, including neutron interaction with the core in the final state for the first time in our dissertation work. And here, phi is the radial part of the eigenfunction of the Hamiltonian in the continuum spectrum, and it's normalized to Bessel functions. And the time evolution starts at a big value and stops at final time by iteration over time steps, over fixed time steps. And for radial discretization, we use finite difference approximation on a quasi-uniform grid. And also we the lower bound of the integral, the minimum of the impact parameter, related to the range of nuclear effects, and we integrated from the minimum 12 Fermi to be a maximum 400 Fermi numerically. And it gives a convergent result with accuracy about a few percent. So here you see comparing of our calculated results with the experiment. First experiment performed for 72 MeV per nucleon by Nakamura and his group. And here you see the blue dashed lines are were calculated by including only bound states of beryllium-11, and the red line is by adding 3 resonance states to bound states. And the second experiment for 69 MeV per nucleon, here we studied the influence of each resonance separately. So the result you see here in the table, and as a result, we have found that at such energies, 2 resonances, 3½ plus and 3½ minus, have more influence than 5½ plus resonance. So here is the results of first statement. A quantitative model has been developed to describe the Coulomb recap of 1 neutron halonuclei of beryllium-11 based on a non-perturbative solution of the time-dependent Schrödinger equation. The parameterization of potential between the neutron and the beryllium-10 core were obtained, and the results of calculating the spectrum and the resonance states of the beryllium-11 are an important element of the computational scheme. Overall, the influence of the resonance states of beryllium-11 on the precap cross-section was taken into account, and these results have been compared with experimental data available at 69 and 72 MeV per nucleon. Here you see the second statement for defense. It reads that the precap cross-sections of the halonucleus of beryllium-11 on a heavy target at low collision energies demonstrate a visible peak due to the 5½ plus resonance state. As we said, for this reaction, for precap reaction of beryllium-11 at lead target, there are experimental data only for higher beam energies. So at low beam energies, there are no experimental data, and we compared our results with the theoretical data. So the first graph is the results of differential precap cross-section calculated by Coulomb waveborne approximation. But in this work, they didn't include the resonance states, and it was done for 30 MeV per nucleon. At the second graph, you see the results for 20 MeV per nucleon. Here, our results calculated for bound states and adding 3 resonance states. And we compare this data with the total differential cross-section at 0.3 MeV and 0.5 MeV from the calculations of Bayer and Kaplan, which was calculated within dynamic economic approximation and also without including resonances of beryllium-11. So here is the results of second statement. So at this graph, you see the results of all our calculations performed from 70 MeV per nucleon to 5 MeV per nucleon at the wide beam energies. So it's new calculations taking into account an influence of resonance states. And here at low beam energies, we see that there is a visible peak near the position of 5½ plus resonance. So we conclude that at low beam energies at from 5 to 30 MeV per nucleon region, the contribution of the 5½ resonance state is clearly visible, while at higher beam energies, resonance states 3½ and the 3½ make the largest contribution to breakup cross-section of beryllium-11. So on the third statement for defense, the differences between the linear and the curvilinear trajectories of the projectile in the analysis of the breakup reaction is about several percent in the energy range 30 to 20 MeV per nucleon. And for 10 MeV per nucleon, the discrepancy is 10% and reaches a maximum value more than 20% at 5 MeV per nucleon, which exceeds the effect of nuclear interaction. Also, in our work, we studied the contribution of nuclear interaction between projectile and target to breakup. And we use it, for this, we used optical potential for describing the nuclear part of interaction. And here at the table, you see the parameters of optical potentials. We took the parameters from the earliest work of Vladimir Stepanovich from this paper. Here we calculated the transition probability during the collision of beryllium-11 with lead target to the excited state 1/2- and the corresponding inelastic cross-section. At first graph, you see the results calculated for 30 MeV per nucleon and 5 MeV per nucleon. It's the excitation probabilities of beryllium-11 calculated with only Coulomb excitation and with adding the nuclear part of interaction. And the second graph is an inelastic cross-section to the 1/2- excited states of beryllium-11 as a function of the projectile energy per nucleon. It's a wide range from 5 MeV per nucleon to 70 MeV per nucleon. And also it was done in comparison with poor Coulomb and with including optical potential. All of results which was illustrated above, they was done by using of classical trajectory and during the dissertation work, the task was one more task was to study how good is linear trajectory approach for projectile motion at low energies. For this, we use a hybrid quantum quasi-classical approach, and it allows to include the strong coupling between the projectile and target. So we study the effect of deformation and the transfer of energy from the target to the projectile and vice versa at the moment of collision. So in the next slide, you see the results. Here you see the results for 30, 20, 10, and 5 MeV per nucleon. Here we compare not only the trajectories, but also the effect of nuclear interaction. So the blue dashed lines are the results of calculation with only Coulomb interaction in linear trajectories by using of classical trajectory. Then red line is the result with adding nuclear interaction also at classical trajectory, and overall the solid black line is the calculation performed by Coulomb plus nuclear interaction in a realistic trajectory. So here we use a quantum quasi-classical approach. And you see here at graphs A and B that the influence of the realistic trajectory is not visible. It has some few percent. And from 10 MeV per nucleon, we see that the quantum quasi-classical approach has an influence, and the discrepancy is about 10%. And for the lowest energy, 5 MeV per nucleon, we see the maximum differences between two trajectories. It's about 20%. So we conducted from this study that our classical trajectory approach works well for low beam
Динара,
energies.
время уже, регламент.
Хорошо, спасибо. But for accurate studies, you may use quantum quasi-classical approach. So for the first time, the low-lying resonance states of beryllium included in the analysis of breakup reaction in a wide range of beam energies, and we studied the effect of nuclear interaction, the interaction between the neutron and the core, and the influence of curvilinear trajectory for projectile motion is analyzed with decreasing the collision energies for the first time. So based on the results of the dissertation work, 6 printed works were published. 4 of them are in journals indexed by scientometric databases, Scopus and Web of Sciences, and 2 of them are in Kazakhstan journals recommended by the Ministry of Science and Higher Education. And also the materials of PhD thesis were reported at the following Republican and international conferences at Russia, Kazakhstan, and at schools and meetings. And also the results of research were reported at the seminar of Pogolubov Laboratory of Theoretical Physics on July 2020. And this work was supported by cooperation program between Kazakhstan and the Joint Institute for Nuclear Research by this grant. So that's all. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dina. So, dear members, please, are there any questions here? Questions?
Can I ask?
Please.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your good presentation. I want to ask about possibility to quality describe the dynamic of the breakup reaction in your method. Can you describe dynamics qualitatively?
Yes, thank you for your question. Yes, as I said, our theoretical method describes well we have found breakup cross-section, the cross-section of excitation, and also wave functions, energy spectrum, and also we can calculate the radius. I think that it's a qualitative description of breakup cross-sections.
Thank you. And second questions, what other kinds of reactions can be described by your method?
What reactions?
Okay, other kinds of reactions.
Other kind of reactions.
Maybe it's transfer reactions, capture, pickup.
No, our computational scheme is based only on breakup reactions. For example, we can use it for neutron halo, two neutron halo, and also Vladimir Stepanovich in his earliest work used it for proton halo, Tor-17. So such, and also we here I show the results for heavy target, and I think that also it can be used for other targets, for example, for light targets.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Another question?
Can I ask a question?
Okay.
May I ask now?
Презентация скоро будет. Экран закрыт у вас?
You will read the presentation.
Yes, Min, I do not hear your question.
Скоро будет.
Questions, please.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I have interested one question. Dinara, you consider Kaluk breakup of nucleus beryllium 11, beryllium 10 on plus neutron on the column field of heavy ion. Can you explain mechanism role of column field of this process? Because one of breakup particle is a neutron.
You ask why there is a Coulomb interaction?
Yes, all breakup here.
Yeah. As I said, we consider beryllium 11 like a core of beryllium 10 plus neutron. As I said, during the Coulomb interaction, when the target and the system are at the minimal distance, they interact with each other, and then the system could break. And after this, there is no beryllium 11, and this neutron is very, let's say, the bound energy is very low, so that's why this reaction break very easy. And after that, when the system was bricked, the Coulomb interaction vanishes. It is zero.
Thank you.
Is it? Are you satisfied?
Okay. So,
May
another
I
question,
ask the question?
please. Please.
Thank you for your nice work. And I have a question. Can you consider some more complicated forms of interaction inside beryllium 11, for example, spin mixing between neutron and beryllium 10 in your approach?
Okay, thank you for your question. Yes, it can be included for scheme, and in the earliest work of Vladimir Stepanovich Milezhik, it was calculated with including the spin mixed term, but it was for energies, for higher energies, for 70 MeV per nucleon. But for our low energies, we do not calculate it, but I think it could be calculated, and that's a good idea for our future investigations. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer. And I also have some suggestion, because this is really somehow effective numerical scheme for a very complicated process, especially at low energies. And probably based on your results, you can make some universal program, something like Fresco, as some alternative for Fresco, because I suppose that Fresco also meets some serious problems at low energies. So this is a suggestion.
Okay, thank you for your idea. I think maybe when we have more experience in this computational scheme, maybe we may make some program like a Fresco, more automatized, which will calculate automatically.
Yes, thank you.
Another questions?
I have a question.
Синова Жанабаевич, сіздің неңіз қосылып кетті, экран.
Уберу я. Что-то непонятно, сейчас я уберу.
Please, Yasmin. Please, Yasmin, you wish to answer something?
Yes. Thank you, Dinara, for your presentation. It is really good job. I congratulate you. Actually, I had similar question with Olga because you know there are many theoretical approach to calculate breakup cross-section like CDCC. So you use some numerical method to solve the Schrödinger equation. I want to ask you what is the difference between your approach and, for example, CDCC. Can you explain us why you choose this method and what is the advantage? Can you explain us briefly?
Okay, thank you for your question. Yes, there are many approaches, CDCC, and I present our comparison with dynamic eikonal approximation. Our approach is good because we solve the problem with non-perturbative scheme, and as you see, our approach can calculate in a wide range of energy, because, as I know, CDCC do not work well at low beam energies. It was some problematic to use it, I think. And so time-dependent approach is works well for such problems.
Okay, but I suggest you to compare the results with other model as well. Can you show the figures where you compare the experimental data and your results?
Experimental data.
Yes.
This?
It is good to compare also other model here, like you did for wave approximation. So it is good to show here how the other models predict the results and how is yours. So it might be good. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Yes, there are many approaches and many works for precap reactions.
So
But
what is the
yes.
energy for this figure?
Yes, but I have another graph when I compare the theoretical approaches.
Yes, I remember that, but it is good for the compare with
the dynamic.
Yes, I know this one, but I suggest you to compare the other models with the experimental data and your results. Okay, it is good, but
okay, but as I said, in other approaches, there are no results with including resonance states. We firstly include the resonance states into computation. All of other approaches, on the literature which I read, there are many data with including only bound states, and they can't.
In the calculation, you can include the other state as well.
And at that approach, they can't, how I said, describe this experimental data with these peaks due to these resonances, as I suppose.
Okay.
Thank you.
Who has some other question? Maybe.
Yeah, I have few questions if people don't have.
Please.
Okay, now can you please open page 8 of your presentation?
8?
Yes, yes.
This?
Okay. Okay. Now, can you tell me the effect of spin-orbit interaction? How effective in describing the breakup reactions?
Excuse me, we ask about spin-orbit interaction?
Yes. How effective it is in describing the breakup of neutron?
The spin-orbital interaction, this side. We have this term with spin-orbit interaction in solving stationary Schrödinger equation at internal interaction. And it consists of spherical part with Saxon potential and a spin-orbital interaction. Here it also has a form of Wood-Saxon potential. And we have two spin orientation of beryllium-11, and as I said, we use orbital momentum. We use from 0 to 3.
Yes.
The values of orbital momentum.
Okay, what I am asking, why odd L values, the depth of the potential for odd L values are shallower than even ones in the potential depth in this table?
In this table, we took 21 MeV for Fermi square. We took it from this work on Kapir and Bayer. It's a standard value for spin orbital term.
Yes, but on the first part of that, the depth for the even L values are 62.52 and odd ones 39.74. Why is that this difference for the even and odd L values?
Why? Excuse me. You ask about difference between this?
On the left, if you look at the table, even L value is 62.52, the depth of the potential. Odd ones are 39.74. What is the reason choosing these values?
Because here we took a P-shell model. That's why 21. In some works, the value of this parameter 32.
Okay.
But then we should took another values for parameters of Wood-Saxon. If we took here 32 MeV for square Fermi.
Okay.
It's parameters we always set these parameters. It's
These are
not a fixed value.
Okay. On the next
Thank
page,
you.
page 9, if you go.
Page 9.
Yes, next page.
Mhm.
You see that for the time-dependent flow potential, R is depending on T, B plus V0 T. I mean, what are these? How do you define V0? Is it for the projectile? Is it for the relative motion? What is V0?
This you ask.
Yeah, relative. Yeah, that are the velocity.
About velocity.
Yes.
Velocity is it's an initial velocity. It depends on the energy, initial energy of beam energy. For example, for 72 MeV, we use the V0 is 0.62 or 36. So it was found from the initial energy, beam energy. For example, for 72, for 69, for 30, we have calculated it.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
How about the numerical solution? When you use finite difference for the time, for the discretization of time dependent part, did you see any numerical accuracy problem? Because finite difference is very unstable sometimes, and it is not. Therefore, did you get any numerical accuracy or stability problem?
We have for our computations, we tested every value, to its convergence of every value. There are in my dissertation work, and here I may have some. For example, here we studied the convergence of scheme by angular numbers, and also we studied the upper bound of impact parameter. So we carefully tested choosing 400 Fermi, and also so that every value of the integral was carefully tested, and it gives a convergent result with accuracy of 1/2%.
Okay, thank you. It was nice
Thank you.
presentation, Dinara.
Thank you for your questions and discussion.
It was a really nice talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. So, is there any question? If no, we can continue. So, next words we can give to scientific consultants. So, first words for Milejik Vladimir, please present your review.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. I would like to present my review of as a foreign scientist consultant of the dissertation work of Dinara Valiolda, presented for degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the specialty nuclear physics. I have to be very precise with my printed review, or I can tell by myself, or what is the tradition?
By yourself, it will be faster and more. Okay.
PhD applicant Valiolda Dinara Salavat-Kizi entered to the PhD doctoral program in nuclear physics of the Al-Farabi Kazakh National University in 2015. Since 2016, Dinara has taken a scientific internship at the Laboratory of Theoretical Physics of Joint Institute for Nuclear Research. From that time to this day, she continues to collaborate in theoretical studies of Coulomb breakup of the beryllium-11 hollow nucleus, which is included in her PhD thesis. Her dissertation work is devoted to investigation of the breakup of beryllium-11 hollow nuclei within a time-dependent quantum mechanical approach. In particular, it was quantitative analysis of the breakup of reaction of beryllium-11 on heavy target at wide range of beam energy, from 70 MeV per nucleon up to 5 MeV per nuclei in region, which is very interesting for planning experiment in CERN and MCU in United States. Some of the results are new, as already Dinara told in her presentation. I can also mention that he investigated the influence of resonance state on the beryllium-11 on the breakup cross-section, which clearly showed the contribution of the resonance 5½ plus at low energies, was firstly calculated in the framework of the dissertation task. During the work on the dissertation, Dinara proved to be a highly qualified scientist in the field of theoretical physics. Her knowledge of the mathematical apparatus and numerical method used in modern theoretical research helps her efficiently realize the research objectives. Dinara Valiolda showed hard work perseverance in achieving the goal, the ability to organize her work. In general, she can be described as a well-formed researcher capable of solving very complicated work on topical problems of nuclear physics, worthy of the PhD degree. The result of her research have been published in high qualified journals. It was already mentioned in her presentation. I mentioned only the main work published in European Physical Journal, which has quartile Q1 and some others journal. The material of dissertation work were presented at prestigious international conference such as Fourth International Scientific Forum Nuclear Science and Technology, and the international workshop on the elementary particles at nuclear physics in Almaty in Kazakhstan last year. In Nucleus 2022 in Moscow State University, and some others very important conferences like neutron physics and application in Bulgaria in 2015, European Nuclear Physics Conference in Bologna in Italy 2018. She also presented her result in the Laboratory of Theoretical Physics of Ginner in a scientific seminar in 2020. Presented in the dissertation work results are reliable and of scientific interest. The relevance of the novelty are beyond doubt. I believe that the dissertation of Valiolda Dinara Salavat-Kizı fulfills all requirements of the Committee for Quality Assurance of the Sphere of Education of the Ministry of Education of the Republic of Kazakhstan for PhD thesis, and could be recommended for the defense of the PhD degree in the specialty nuclear physics. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. So, as next words for local scientific consultant, candidate of physical and mathematical science, associate professor, Saule Zaugasha, please.
Thank you. Good day, dear colleagues. Thank you for your active discussion. During her doctoral studies, Valiolda Dinara took a scientific internship in Dubna. The work was carried out at BELT Dubna under the strict guidance of Professor Nelej Vladimir Stepanovich. Now she continues to collaborate with Dubna. Her attitude to work, accuracy in calculation, as well as deep knowledge allowed her to complete the discussion at high level. Her main results have been present at international scientific conferences and seminars, as well as her published works at scientific journals, demonstrate the relevance and the depth of her research. I consider Valiolda Dinara's dissertation is a complete scientist research, and ask you to support her in awarding the PhD degree. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So next we will give the words to the official reviewers. So Kabyshev Asset Maratovich, PhD, acting associate professor of the International Department of Nuclear Physics, New Materials and Technologies of Gumilev Eurasian National University. Please.
Okay, good afternoon. Dear members of Dissertation Council, let me introduce my official review for the dissertation of Valiolda Dinara Salavat-Kizı. I won't read the entire review, just only highlights. So I'd say the dissertation work is very relevant in the framework of the dissertation work for more detailed study of mechanism of the Gala structure. The author included low-lying resonance in various partial and spin states of the 11 beryllium nucleus in the calculation of the breakup cross-section in wide range of beam energies. The contribution of the neutron interaction with the core in the final state and an account of nuclear interaction between the target and projectile to the breakup cross-section were evaluated at low beam energies from 5 to 30 MeV per nucleon and the influence of the curvy nuclear trajectory for the projectile motion is analyzed with decreasing the collision energies. Nevertheless, I would like to recommend considering the deformity of the nucleus. So it would be interesting to include the deformation of the 11 beryllium nucleus in the calculation and study the breakup mechanism. But this comment has only recommendatory character and doesn't diminish the quality of the obtained results. So in the conclusion, I would say that the dissertation work of Valiolda Dinara performed at high specific level and is completed independent research work and meets all the requirements of Ministry of Education and Science. And it's after Valiolda Dinara Salavat Kızı deserves to be awarded the degree of Doctor PhD in the specialty of nuclear physics. So that's it.
Thank you, Asad. Dinara, please respond to the remarks of official reviewer. Dinara.
Thank you for your review and your comments about my work. Yes, I think that your recommendations are very important for our future investigations. And I think we will study this at future because our computational scheme allows to study these effects.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your review.
Thank you, Dinara. So next official reviewer, Yasmin Kuchuk, PhD, Associate Professor of the Department of Physics of Akdeniz University. Please.
Thank you. But first, I want to correct that I am full professor of nuclear physics. Maybe it is good to correct in your forms, okay?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So I want to also read what I wrote for Dinara. Dissertation work of Valiolda Dinara considers some topical issues of modern theoretical nuclear physics related to study of the Coulomb breakup of halonuclei, which are one of the important tools for studying the structure of the nucleus. In this work, the Coulomb breakup of nuclear halo is studied numerically by solving the time-dependent Schrödinger equation on an angular Lagrange and quasi-uniform radial grid. The author included low-lying resonances in various partial and spin states of the beryllium-11 nucleus in the calculation of the breakup cross-section in a wide range of beam energies. A significant contribution of the 5-half plus resonance to the breakup cross-section was found at low beam energies. Also, at higher beam energies, the most noticeable contribution is made by 3-half minus and 3-half plus resonance states. The applicant calculated cross-section for the Coulomb breakup of beryllium-11 and inelastic cross-section for the extension of 1/2 minus state of beryllium in a collision with lead target in the right energy range from 5 to 30 MeV per nucleon, including the number effects for the first time during the implementation of PhD thesis. The obtained results on the basis of numerical calculations are consistent with the qualitative study of the obtained differential equations, as well as with studies conducted earlier by other authors. The main conclusion and provision of this work are justified. Based on these results of dissertation work, 6 printed works were published. 4 of those were published in journals included in the database indexed by Scopus databases. As Dinara shows, and other reviewers also said, she joined very good conferences and she presented her results. So in summary, the author fully sustained the theoretical conclusion and results of the studied models, confirmed the identified relationship and patterns by comparing them with the results of other authors. The obtained results have been compared with the experimental data available 69 and 72 MeV per nucleon with existing alternative theoretical calculations of other works. So in this dissertation, a numerical method for solving the non-stationary Schrödinger equation is well described. And the work is quite laborious. The breakup reaction of beryllium-11 halonucleus on heavy target lead was investigated in a wide energy range. So as a summary, I have a recommendation here for Dinara. She only showed the results for the heavy target. I suggest to implement this calculation for also other targets. Intermediate targets may be good to show your approach, how it is sufficient. This is my suggestion also. So at the end, and as a brief, this dissertation work of Valiolda Dinara on the team clone breakup of exotic nuclei by quantum mechanical approach performed at a high scientific level is a completely independent researcher work in content and design meets the requirements of the Committee for Control in the Field of Education and Science of Ministry of Education and Science of Republic of Kazakhstan to PhD dissertation. And its author, Valiolda Dinara, undoubtedly deserves to be awarded the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in this specialty nuclear physics. Thank you.
Thank you. Dinara, please respond to the remarks.
Okay, Dr. Yasmin, thank you for your review and for your recommendations. Yes, our computational scheme allows to calculate for other targets and for example, for light targets, there are experiment of Fukuda group for carbon targets, and in our group we mark for ourselves that at future we should consider this problem, because at light targets there may be new effects for about nuclear interaction, and I think it's a good idea and a good recommendation for us. So thank you.
Thank you, Dinara. So let's start this discussion. So who wish to give some words for support, maybe Dinara, or some comments on your dissertation, please?
I can do. I mean, this exotic nuclei or halonuclei have taken a great deal of interest over the years. And Dinara has tackled a very important problem of breakup effect, clone breakup effect. Therefore, the work is on the scientific level is very good. And I would like to thank the supervisors for taking their interest to this problem. This is an important problem. I mean, Dinara has presented well, and the thesis has well planned. The results are compared with the literature published earlier, and as well as the experimental data, and the quality of work is very good. Therefore, I am happy to see such a nice work from Dinara, and thank you. I mean, it could be awarded as PhD on the international level. Very good work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Bosizm. So,
Thank you.
another comment?
So let me say.
Yeah.
I can say a few words.
Please.
So, as a reviewer, I got acquainted with work very well. So this work consists a lot of calculation, a lot of theoretical work was done. Exotic nuclei are one of the most intensively studied objects in the modern physics. So the topic is very interesting. So I'd say I will support this work.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let me say just, I will be very short because I told already my suggestion to make some universal program based on this approach. And also, yes, this topic is very interesting and is on the top of nuclear reaction studies, reactions with rare isotopes, and this the method is very interesting, and I just want to emphasize how clear and detailed is written the thesis, and all the questions are studied, all the approximations are studied in detail. So this is very nice work. Thank you, and yes, I also want to support this study. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrei.
Let me see. Let me say.
Please.
The advantage of the Valiolda's dissertations is the development of new model for describing the column breakup reaction, which can be used in future not only to describe existing experiments, but also to has a predictive character. And so I recommend include deformations and deformations of nuclei and spin orbit interaction in calculations. In general, I recommend this work to PhD degrees. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
May I ask you a few words?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, thank you. Well, first of all, I should say that it's really very nice work, and it was very interesting to read it, and it is written in a clear way, and all aspects, I mean, nuclear physics aspects and computational aspects are very well presented. So I support this work for sure. And I would like to say that in this work, Dinara considered the hollow nuclei with one neutron, and clearly much more complicated, but also very interesting problem could be the problem and the system with two neutrons. Of course, it's requires more computational effort, but it maybe may constitute the new bigger project in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So, if comments over, let's go to the next stage of our station console sims. We must make secret votes. So some comments connected with voting. I give you orders to the scientific secretary of our console, Farida Belisarova.
Please, can you vote? To do this, you need to open an Gmail. You have 8 answers. Динал Жанабаевич, голосовать еттіңіз бе? Үш адам қалды.
Күйген жоқ.
Жіберілді. Сол үшін почтаны қайтадан Gmail'ға кіру керек. Обновить етіп.
Yeah, обновить.
Доктор Ясмин. Осталось 4.
Is there any problem with voting? Please comment it.
2 человека осталось, 10 получено.
Динал Жанабаевич, бердіңіз бе даусызды?
Дауыс бердім мен.
Yeah. Бір ответ. One answers. We need 1 answers.
It seems one of our members has some problem.
Қарлығаш Нұрман.
Please be free.
Қарлығаш Нұрмановна?
Да, я проголосовала. Да, проголосовала.
Ольга Андреевна, проголосовали?
Да.
Один человек остался.
Может, біреу шықпай отырған шығар?
Нет, все, ага, хорошо.
Ол ма, бәрі түгел ма? Онда жариялай беріңіз. So, Farida Bilsarva, please tell us about the results of voting.
Получено 12 ответов, да, присвоение степени доктора философии. Award in the degree of Doctor Philosophy, 200%. Держанч. Все за. Диаграмма видна, да? 12 человек за.
Yeah. All you can see. So, 100%. All of them positive vote. So we can continue our council meeting. First of all, let me to congratulate Dinara with this 100%.
Thank you.
Voting results. So let me to consultate the dissertation council in the specialties physics, nuclear physics, technical physics, physics and astronomy, radio engineering, electronics and telecommunications, material science and technology of new materials, thermal power engineering, physics, standardization and certification by industry at Al-Farabi Kazakh National University, awarded the scientific degree of Doctor of Philosophy, PhD, in the specialty 6D060500 nuclear physics to Valiolda Dinara Salavatkadze. Congratulations, Dinara. So let's continue. According to the conclusion about dissertation council, we need to accept the conclusion of Valiolda's thesis work. So final project and classification marks of the dissertation were sent to all council members. So do you have some comments or recommendations about this document? If not,
Let's
so
well,
yes, let's take it one as basis. So by this way, the session of our dissertation council on the defense of the doctoral dissertation of Valiolda Dinara is hereby declared closed. Thank you very much to all participants. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
congratulations.
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 Yeah,
Congratulations, all the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Excuse me, can I give a speech
Please.
for several minutes? So I want to thank all of participants and the members of the dissertation council for today's discussion, constructive questions. Today in Kazakhstan is we celebrate Day of Gratitude. So let me express my gratitude to all of participants, reviewers, and also I would like to express my deepest respect to my supervisors. First of all, it's for Minal Denihan, who under his leadership, nowadays many of young scientists are studied and cooperate with Joint Institute for Nuclear Research. And also, I'd like to thank my consultant, Vladimir Stepanovich Milezhik, for his participation in my dissertation work from the beginning to the end, and for all his discussions at the Golubov laboratory. And also, I want to thank Shawasheva Suleiman for her guidance, support, and also all my colleagues, head of our university, and my family, my husband, for giving me opportunity to grow professionally. So I'd like to thank all of you. Thank you for giving me speech.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So goodbye. See you later.
Thank you to all. Thank you very much and goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Okay.